when you perfect something in this life, you will see its benefits in this life. You see, people can overlook immorality in competent people, but they cannot overlook incompetency in lazy people. They cannot overlook moral things in lazy people. So if a person is lazy, even if they're moral, people will not respect them. But if a person is doing immorality, even if they're doing immorality, but they're competent, people will still respect this individual. So always have excellence in whatever you do, in any area of your life. Whatever roles you have in life, you're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a husband, you're a son, always excel to be the best in that. Aim to be the best son to your parents. Aim to be the best husband to your wife. Be the best parent to your kids. Be the best friend to your friends, the one who they can rely on. So in any area of life, you should be aiming to be the best of the best. Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he said that if man could fly and he doesn't reach the competency to fly, then he said he's in the lowest of the lowest levels. And if man could become a prophet through striving hard and he doesn't reach the level of prophethood, then he is from the lowest of mankind. So you should be aiming for excellence at all times. Unfortunately, like the Muslims have lost this idea. They've adopted this monk sort of mindset that we sit in like masajid and we just pray, do dhikr. Like the Islam is just going to the masjid, praying, or praying at home, just doing dhikr. We've lost this like excellence in the Muslims. We've lost having excellence in the work that we do and like achieving mastery. You see, the scholars of the past, they would be polymaths. They would have mastered multiple different fields. Many scholars of the past, they would be scientists, they would be doctors, they would be jurists. And in terms of like, even within Islam, the amount of knowledge that they would have is like crazy. Like that people, not one person in the West will come close to how much knowledge they had just in one field, let alone all the different fields that they mastered. Like the believer is not supposed to be someone who is lazy, like procrastinates, is mediocre, is okay with the bare minimum. No, like when it comes to like even the dunya stuff, there's a amazing story of one of the scholars of the past. He was on his horse and a Yahudi comes to him and says, "Oh, so-and-so, your messenger says that this life is a prisoner for the believer and it's paradise for the disbeliever. But you are dressed so well, you have this horse, like you're so wealthy. How do you reconcile with this?" He said, for the believer, this life is a prison in comparison to what he will get in the next life. As for the disbeliever, this life is like paradise in comparison to the next life. So having excellence in this life doesn't mean that you don't live life to the fullest. You don't attain wealth. You don't do excellence in all the different realms of your life. No, having excellence means you do the best in this life and the next life. And the believer has the most right and is the most worthy of attaining mastery and reaching excellence in all the different fields of life, because they can do the most khair with it. You see, for example, if a Muslim becomes a really good psychologist, but then they filter everything through Islamic principles, imagine how much good they can do in the world. Like all the modern day problems that we have, they could filter through and they could prescribe people the right things. Instead of all this like nonsense that the non-Muslims come up with, yeah, a lot of their psychology stuff is not even like based on real like facts. A lot of these psychology books, they're not actually based on fact. But what if a Muslim could come and bring the Islamic psychology to the world? We're supposed to be the ones who are at the forefront of whether it's medicine, whether it's education, whether it's like architecture, whatever it is. The Muslims in the past, they have always been ahead. And as for mastery, we can only really like pioneer and only innovate and come up with the best things once we reach mastery ourselves. So for example, in any field, if you see like crazy shifts or revolutions in something, that only happens because they reach the peak of the like mastery in that field, and then they see like an adjacent possible. So it's called adjacent possible, basically something that is close to it and it's just a small shift up. They just innovate a little bit, they iterate, they improve it slightly, and then that causes like a shift. Now there's a paradigm shift. Now they invented something new. But that only happens when you really get to the top of your field. So the aim is that, like as Muslims, that whatever field we're in, we should seek excellence, whether we're a pharmacist, whether we're like a lawyer, whether we are whatever we are in life, that we should have excellence in that field, and then we can come up with something new, something like innovative, something that is going to solve new problems. As Muslims, we need to have excellence in both lives, inshallah, especially when it comes to our good deeds. When it comes to our worship, we need to go beyond just doing the basics. And to summarize this hadith, inshallah, we should, when it comes to excellence, when it comes to ihsan, we should no doubt take pride in our work. Like, do a good job in anything that you do in life. Yeah, and it should be about doing it for the sake of Allah, that you want to excel for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you do a good job, you should be pleased about it, that Allah allowed you to do a good job. And when you treat people well and you keep Allah in mind, again, this is something that you should be pleased about, that Allah gave you the tawfiq to do ihsan towards them. Even if people wrong you and you give them ihsan, you give them excellence, again, you should shukr that Allah actually gave you the tawfiq for that. And when it comes to giving people's rights, go a little beyond like what they're due. Be generous with people's rights. And when it comes to your rights, like overlook some of your rights. Like allow your rights to go a little bit, because it's difficult for most people to fulfill each other's rights. People don't even fulfill Allah's rights. So we can't expect people to give our rights 100%. And if you are generous with giving other people's rights, even if they don't appreciate it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have it written, and you'll get your reward of excellence in the next life, inshallah. And in fact, you'll get rewards of that even in this life. And if you have like a business, if you work somewhere and you're given a service, then give the best service that you can. Like, allow people to go beyond people's expectations. Give them beyond what they thought that they would get.